Welcome to NRL previews for round 26 of the 23 season. I'm Renee Gartner and I'm joined by Josh Mansour to unpack all the games this week. Top 8 battles are becoming more intense. It's our final weeks and we're kicking off on Thursday night with the Panthers hoping to finalise that minor premiership. They take on the Eels at Bluebet Stadium. Josh, let's look at the Panthers first. They asserted their dominance last week. It was against the Titans, but Ivan was still really unimpressed with the first 10 minutes of the halves.
Yeah, a bit of experience on the edges there. I think let them down. Obviously, a few soft tries where traditionally they'll probably stop them, but massive second half performance by the Panthers. They stuck to their systems and they keep doing what works for them. They get them in the grind, they get in the arm wrestle and. Stephen Crun had an outstanding game there on the right edge and a good runaway try to set up Dylan Edwards. And Dylan Edwards, well, what a massive performance, just under 300 metres. That is absolutely mind-blowing and I'm sure he would have been tired after that one.
Yeah, I bet he would have been. All right, over to the Eels. They knew it was going to be a hard slog with the halves partnership. Without Mitch Moses, obviously we've lost him for the season, but the Battle of the West, you've been here before. You know it brings an extra effort. And then you've also got that halves partnership that are now sort of battle-worn from last week.
Yeah, so obviously getting that game last week would have, just added a bit of more experience and cohesion for them for this week. But if they're going to go in the pressure cooker, they're going to get a lot of pressure from those Panther middles, and there's going to be a target on their back, no doubt. But as a player, when I played at Penrith, this is the game that you want to play in. Like it's that rivalry, the whole town gets behind it, and it's the Battle of the West. As a player, I've really got up for this game, and I'm sure it's going to be just as much of a big game on Thursday night. So I feel like the Panthers, got the edge on this one. I feel like obviously Parramatta have had a lot of adversity this year, and obviously with Mitch Moses not there, I think it's going to be too much of an uphill battle for him.
Yeah, and it is the grand final rematch as well too. I know that the teams are very different to what we saw last year, but I still think it's going to be one of the most exciting games to go out to.
Can't wait, bring it on.
You'll be there?
Maybe.
Okay, well it's an unmissable matchup, so you better head out there. If you haven't already got your tickets, Josh, I'll let you know where to get them. Head to nrl.com/tickets, and if you can't get to the game, you can watch it on Channel 9, Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kickoff is 7:50 p.m. Welcome to the NRL previews for round 26 of the 2023 season. I'm Renee Gartner and I'm joined by Josh Mansour to unpack all the games this week. Top 8 battle is getting so much more intense. We're in our final weeks. And of course, next up, the Warriors. They continue their run for a top 4 finish at home in Auckland on Friday night, taking on the Dragons, which is going to be huge. Sold out crowd.
How good.
Last week, Josh, they actually strung together their 6th win in a row. They toppled Manly, hurt me, but the last time they did this was in 2002 when they made their run to the premiership. Unfortunately, they lost to the Roosters in the grand final, but same form, same excitement, still no Mitch Barnett. Tamari Martin is he's on the extended squad. Obviously, we haven't seen him for a while since he broke his leg. I think it was round 6.
Yep.
But how's that dynamic going to change? I mean, they're still rolling forward at the moment.
Well, hopefully we get a fairy tale finish for the Warriors this year. They were just one game short that 2002 season, so they're on a pretty good run at the moment. You can't argue with the way they're playing. They are playing, champagne footy like everyone says. But for me, the edges have been outstanding. The wingers, back three, have been done what's happening to Zalesniak. I have to give him a massive rap. He's played 16, 17 games or so, and he's been scoring a ton of tries. He's top in the charts there, so keep going there. And obviously it's going to be a big game against the Dragons. The only thing for me, they can't let their guard down. The Dragons are going to go over there and try and show a bit of pride, but for me, the way the Warriors are playing, they just don't look beatable at the moment. Yeah, well,
now to the Dragons though. They've shown a lot of effort in the last few weeks and they've got nothing to show for it at the moment, but you can just see them in the press conference. Ben Hunt just wants that win, but it's that end of game sort of fade off that they're having that's been the biggest drama, and Warriors will punish them for that.
Well, they took it to the Storm last week, almost scored 30 points or so, and so they are playing with a bit of pride. And obviously there's a lot, in my opinion, a lot to play for the Dragons this year. Yeah, on the competition, they are sitting at the bottom of the ladder, but in terms of the players there's the contracts to play for and definitely their pride. So obviously with the arrival of Shane Flanagan next year, they want to put their best foot forward, and this is a big test for them. And last week was another big test, obviously against the Melbourne Storm. So I think if they can replicate that and take all the little ill-disciplined stuff out of their game going into this game, they might be able to shock the Warriors. You never know.
Do you think they can shock them, or are you going to stick to
I'm going to stick to the Wires, sell-out crowd in Auckland. It's awesome to see all the fans getting behind the Warriors. Obviously been a couple of tough years with COVID and all, and I'm going to back the Warriors.
All right, well, thank you very much, Josh. Remember, as I said, it is a sellout, so you can stay tuned to nrl.com for all your news and updates on the game, or you could actually watch it on Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kickoff is at 6 p.m. Welcome to the NRL previews for round 26 of the 2023 season. I'm Renee Gartner and I'm joined by Josh Mansour to unpack all the games this week. Our next game is between a very resilient Dolphins outfit up against the Cowboys, who are still fighting tooth and nail for that top 8 spot. The Dolphins first, they came out firing at the start of the season. They've been cruelled by injury. They now have only one win in the last 10 outings. Wayne Bennett will be happy to see the return of Hammer at the back as well, and we also see Kenny Bromwich come back into the side. Playing for pride. Yep. They've done a lot this year. They came out of the blocks so strong. Like we said, hammered by injury, no pun intended, when we've got the man on the screen behind us. But how do you feel they're going to play on this game? Yeah,
again, prize on the line for one. It's just disappointing, obviously, with so much injuries happening to them this year. With the inclusion of Kenny Bromwich and the Hammer will definitely aid them getting that win. But for me personally, I feel like there was so much hype of them. They've just got no confidence at the moment. They're a bit shot. One win over the last 10 outings, obviously not a great stat to have. But obviously playing against the Cowboys, their northern neighbours, hopefully they can go out there and make a big performance out of it.
Yeah, well, let's have a look over to the Cowboys, because this is a danger game for them. Having dropped the last 3, they've slipped from 7th to 9th. Yeah. Their defence has really come under the microscope in the last week. They've also lost Jeremiah Nanai as well too, which is a huge blow for them.
Yeah, massive loss. Obviously off the back of him, he just creates something out of nothing. And Drinkwater's obviously been their biggest shining light this year. So for me, it's do or die for the Cowboys. They're just on the cusp there of either playing finals or not playing finals. So this is a must-win game for them. They were disappointing against the Sharks last week, and I feel like it was a bit of an ambush by the Sharks. And for me, the Cowboys just couldn't answer that.
Having the players coming back into that Dolphin side, and I know, as I said, it's still a young, quite injured crew coming up against the Cowboys. Can they do it, or do you think Cowboys are...
Well, the biggest thing for Dolphins, they're going to come with a game plan where it's just going to be unscripted. They're just going to throw the footy around, and you've got nothing to lose, really. So I feel like for the Cowboys, that's a massive danger for them. You saw the Sharks last week play a very clinical game of footy, and they put 30 points on them. So it's going to be a big clash. I feel like, again, the Cowboys, they need to win this game. They've got to put their best foot forward and throw everything at the Dolphins to have any chance of playing in the final 8.
All right, you didn't answer my question on who you picked, but that's fine. We'll move on. Thank you very much for... Okay, there we go. I knew I'd force him somehow. Thank you very much. Unmissable matchups taking place all weekend. Tickets are selling fast, so if you do want to see this match live, head to nrl.com/tickets. If you can't get to the game, remember you can watch it on Channel 9, Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kick-off is at 8 p.m. Welcome to the NRL previews for round 26 of the 2023 season. I'm Renee Gartner and I'm joined by Josh Mansour to unpack all this weekend's games. Saturday afternoon begins in Melbourne at Amy Park for the Storm and Titans. With exciting news coming out of the Southern camp, Hap has been named at 19.
How good.
He's found his feet the last couple of weeks on the Sunshine Coast, I should say. But what does that mean for Nick Meaney? He's been playing outstanding footy. Do we get Pap into the game at some point, or...
It's a hard question to answer. I feel like Nick Meaney deserves his spot on the side. He's been outstanding for the Storm all year. Obviously, if you bring in Pap this late in the season, there's a lot of risk with that. Obviously, almost every player and all the teams are seasoned and conditioned this late in the season. So, throwing him into the fire, I don't know. Do you start him off the bench? That's the question that Craig Bellamy is going to have to answer himself. But it's a great sign to see Pap back playing and doing what he loves doing, obviously, from that horrific injury. So, it's up to the Melbourne Storm on how they want to play him.
Are you loving the way that the Storm are playing at the moment at the right time of the season?
They're definitely, last week I wasn't really happy with the defence, I should say. Obviously conceding almost 30 points against the Dragons, they wouldn't be happy with that. But to come away with a win, obviously is very important. It's never easy to go down to Win Stadium and get the 2 points there. So there was positives in their game, but obviously there was a few negatives that Craig Bellamy wouldn't be happy with, particularly in defence.
And when he's not happy, he's not happy.
Yeah, we all know that. We all know that.
All right, over to the Titans. A brave effort last week under duress with players needing to sort of play out of position because of injuries. Jaden Campbell subluxing his patella, so kneecap. I've done that about 3 or 4 times now. Not pretty. Bit of a change, but you've got AJ Brimson at fullback. We also get Kieran Foran back in the halves to partner, obviously, the debutant last week, Tommy. He got punished by Penrith last week. They targeted him. You talked about it. They're big bullies.
You know what? Any team would put him on the chopping block. It's a no-brainer. Obviously, you want to put as much pressure as you can on a half, particularly a debutant half. So with Kieran Foran's inclusion this week, he's going to take a lot of pressure off his shoulders, in my opinion. And obviously, that older head, that warhorse back in the team, to steer the ship will definitely aid the Titans in getting this win. But They're going down to Amy Park. They're going down to Melbourne. It's never an easy task to play down there. So I feel like the Titans game last week, they started so strong. They were in the game in that first 40, but obviously with the injury, Jaden Campbell definitely threw them out, and the Panthers came and obviously finished the game strong. So I reckon if they can weather the storm, no pun intended, in the first 40 against Melbourne, it'll go a long way in winning the game.
Yeah, no pun intended, and definitely taken on board. Thank you very much, Josh. Unmissable matchups taking place all weekend. If you do want to see this match live, head to nrl.com/tickets. If you can't get to the game, you can watch it on Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kickoff is at 3 p.m. Welcome to the NRL previews for round 26 of the 2023 season. It's a mouthful to get out. I'm Renee Gartner and I'm joined by Josh Mansour to unpack all the games this week. Saturday night, the Roosters and West Tigers go head-to-head at Allianz Stadium in a do-or-die match for the Tricolours. The Roosters, they still need to continue their winning streak to bag a final spot. They do so without James Tedesco, but a pretty handy replacement in Manu going out to fullback. Sam Walker also gets his start back in the side as well too. He's had a couple of really impressive weeks playing for the feeder club with North Sydney. With this new dynamic, I know, as I said, we lose Teddy, but it's gold for gold in that fullback spot.
Yeah, I remember playing Manu in the World Cup, and he was at fullback, and it wasn't fun to tackle, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, it's awesome having him back in the number 1 jersey. Obviously, the more he can get his hands on the ball, the better for the Roosters. But again, like you said, do or die clash. They need to win this game to have any chance of making that top 8. It's so great this season. You see so many teams, up in contention to make that final spot. So it just adds so much to the theatre of it all. And obviously, as a fan, you want to see this game won by the Roosters, so it's a do-or-die clash next week for the Rabbitohs.
What do you make of Walker coming back into the side? Again, he's been playing very well. I know you've seen him play in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to have him back in the side. Obviously, you saw Trent Robinson come out in the media and say, he is the future, he is their 7, so it's awesome to see a coach back in his half there, and I feel like he's obviously been out with the injury, with the partial tear in his ACL. It's not a fun injury to have, and to have the confidence to come back in the side and play in good form, congrats to him.
All right, well, over to the West Tigers, and they're riding the high of breaking their 10-game losing streak. One man that you know a lot about is Abby Coruscant, kicking their way to a nail-biting finish. Have you ever seen him kick like that?
Never, but let me tell you, when I saw it happen, I just had this big smile on my face. Uppy's a great character, he's one of my good mates, and to see him to slot this winning sideline conversion, it was so good for the Tigers. The Tigers have had so much against them this year, and to get them that good win, you can just see the emotion on Uppy's face. So obviously went a long way for the Tigers in that win, and hopefully they can keep that momentum going forward. But it's not going to be an easy task against the Roosters. Well,
they would have huddled around Luke Brooks's new barbecue and spoken about this game.
I must say that was very, very unique. I thought he was going to get a gold watch or something, but you know what? Hey, barbecues, I guess it's just as good, I guess.
All right. Well, do you think the West Tigers can upset the apple cart and not let the fairy tale finish the top 8 for the Roosters?
I can't. I have to see the Sydney Roosters going out there and having a blinder, so I'm going to go with the Roosters.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Josh, for that one. He gets off the fence for once. Unmissable matchup taking place all weekend. If you want to see this match live, head to nrl.com/tickets. And if you can't get to this game, you can watch it on Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kickoff is at 5:30 p.m. Welcome to the NRL previews for round 26 of the 23 season. I'm Renee Gartner. I'm joined by Josh Mansour to unpack all this weekend's games. Saturday night, it's the Broncos. They'll be coming in hot to the nation's capital to take on the Raiders in a bid to claim that minor premiership. The Raiders, though, they're going to be ready, and it was a very confident Ricky Stewart in a press conference saying Jack Whiten was very ready last week, but he was only rested with his hamstring just to make sure that he was going to be ready and in full force for this weekend's games. This is potentially Jared Croker's and Whiten's last home game for the Raiders as well too. How do you see the Green Machine responding to this one? Well,
2 great servants of the Raiders organisation. Obviously, if it's the final home game, that'll be hopefully a good send-off for them. But I feel like I'm still not convinced with the Raiders' game plan at the moment. I feel like last week the Bulldogs really took it to them and pulled them apart in certain parts of their game. I feel like they do inflict a lot of self-sabotage in their game. There's a lot of errors in their game. I feel like the kicking game needs to improve as well. But obviously with Jackie Whiten back, he's going to be a massive in for me, and obviously with Croker as well there, the old warhorse and veteran of the club. I think there'll be a lot to play for going this week. And obviously we see the ladder as well. The differential is a bit of their Achilles heel at the moment, so hopefully they get a good win against the Broncos.
All right, well, let's go over to the Broncos. They come in hot, fresh off the bye. Minimal changes as well too. One big out is obviously going to be missing their skipper in Adam Reynolds. Jock Madden takes his place, so which again is not a bad little change for that as well. Add to that, you've got a milestone with veteran Corey Oates as well too. 200 games in the NRL. They've got a lot to lose in this game. They need to have this win to get that minor premiership.
A lot to lose and a lot to play for. So yeah, obviously going down to the nation's capital is going to be a big task. Like it's a very hard game down playing in the ACT. But obviously we took Corey Oates back in the side playing his 200th. He's got that extra motivation there. So hopefully the boys can rally together and make it a special night for him. So again, the minor premiership's up for grabs. I'm sure it's in the back of their minds. It's a massive accolade to have and be a part of. So. Hopefully the Broncos can go there and pick the Raiders apart. I feel like they do have the game plan to do it.
Yeah.
They've got the X factor, they've got the talent, they've got the speed. Again, with the Raiders, it's just bringing the Broncos down to their level and just playing that hard-nosed kind of style footy.
How different are Jock and Reynolds in their halves and the way they play the game?
Well, obviously, Adam is seasoned. He's got so many seasons under his belt. He knows what works. He's a very calming influence. I feel like with Breno, I can say because I've played with him, his communication is second to none. Everyone knows what they're doing. Everyone's held accountable. So I feel like Jock has obviously got a great master to learn off. It's the master apprentice old saying. So I feel like Jock's in a good position and will be ready for this matchup, particularly with Breno in his corner.
All right, so you're sticking with Bronx?
I'm sticking with the Bronx.
All right, thank you, Josh. Unmissable matchups taking place all weekend. If you want to see this match live, head to nrl.com/tickets. And if you can't get to the game, you can watch it on Channel 9, Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kick-off is at 7:35 p.m. Welcome to the NRL previews for round 26 of the 23 season. I'm Renee Gardner and I'm joined by Josh Mansour to unpack all the games for this week. The next game sees the Bulldogs host the Seagulls at Accor Stadium. Now, both these coaches, I know you know one of them very well. They're basically comparing war stories on how they're handling injuries this year.
Definitely.
But to the Bulldogs first, they squared up against the Raiders last week for 60 minutes, I'm going to say. But they've got a little bit of work to do defensively here. How do they shut down Manly's attack? Because they were very dynamic last week.
I thought they had the game plan to beat Canberra last week, and I feel like just too many injury errors and penalties just really hurt them, particularly coming out of yardage. You can't just allowing Canberra just easy meters into their own half. I feel like really cost them, and they just did too much tackling in my opinion. So I feel like the energy's there, the belief is there. They obviously got a few key personnel in there with Kick-Out who's been outstanding as of late, and again I feel like they're due for a win. They're due. They're not too far off. They just got to keep at it, and they got Manly at that perfect time as well, where they're very, very vulnerable. Yeah,
all right. Well, let's go over to that vulnerable side. Further injuries added to Anthony Seibold's nightmare run. But however, you've got Jacob Arthur joining Cherry in the halves. He's been forced to swing the axe one more time with Schuster. He's been pushed back into that 18th man though. Yeah,
a bit ruthless, and again with Jacob Arthur, he's had a pretty tough year, but good to see him back in the side. Big loss is Ruben Garrick, in my opinion. They just can't get it right. That's like that number one jersey is cursed out in Manly. Ruben has been doing a tremendous amount of work, so he's got big shoes to fill. But again, it's a team effort. Everyone's got to really aim up. Cherry Evans can't do it all on his own, and you can kind of point the finger at the injuries, but both sides have dealt with them this year. So I guess who handles them better in this game will go along and win it.
Is this game going to come down to who's got the better defence out of the two? Because they've both got massive strike power.
Yeah, both teams do got a lot of star power. A lot of individual star power, but I guess it's who puts in the full 80 minutes performance, the old cliche. And I feel like, again, the Bulldogs, if they can get the errors out of their game, they're not that far off. They're not that far off. I'm kind of leaning towards them this week, but again, with Manly, they've got a lot going on at the moment, with a lot of ins and outs, injuries, whatnot. So I feel like they're just lacking a bit of cohesion, a bit of
You're going against Manly, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I'm sorry about that.
This is our first fight. All right. Thank you, Josh. Unmissable matchups taking place all weekend. If you want to see this match live, head to nrl.com/tickets. If you can't get to the game, you can watch it on Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kick-off is at 2 p.m. Welcome to the NRL previews for round 26 of the 23 season. I'm Renee Gartner. I'm joined by Josh Mansour to unpack all the games this week. It's the top 8 battle. It's becoming even more intense in our final weeks, and this game is no exception because we're wrapping up the round on Sunday at McDonald Jones Stadiums as the Knights take on the Sharks to fight it out for the remaining spots of this top 8 final series.
Oh, good.
The Knights, they're charging their way home, Josh. It's so good. They're replicating the 2001 Premiership season, led by Andrew Johns, made it all the way to the finals, with their last win making it 7 in a row. They're on fire.
Absolutely on fire. Fire is the word, and it's all led by that one man, Kalen Ponga. You know, just having him back in the side, he's been outstanding. I've got to give massive rep to Greg Marzu. What a pickup he's been for him. He's an absolute powerhouse and just as good as a finisher. So three tries last week, all off the back of some great work by Kalen Ponga. For me, if they can keep up that good form, like he's integral to the way the Knights are going to go going forward. So whoever opposes him, they've got to try and shut him down, but it's not going to be an easy task.
Well, they get Jackson Hastings back as well too. It just strengthens that back line even further.
Another great pickup. You know, I feel like they've finally got the correct nucleus in that side, which they've been looking for a few years now. So, in my opinion, they're really running hot at the moment. They're going to be very hard to beat up there as well. So, I'll always love a matchup with Battle of the Beaches. You know, so it's and the Sharks as well. They're going to come in with some good form. All
right, and they've got another great nucleus as well too. Another side attacking prowess when it comes down to it. Craig Fitzgibbon's named the name Same 17 that played in the last game as well too. They put the Cowboys to the sword last week. As we said, they've just sort of gotten better with each round and continuing to climb.
Well, they just had that little bit of a funk in that mid-season, and I feel like that came off the back of this not sure who's going to be their halves going forward, and obviously with the injury to Will Kennedy, there was a lot of question marks on how the Sharks were going to play and adjust to those injuries. So again, Connor Trace has been outstanding at the back. I've played a few games with him this year, and he definitely deserves his spot, and it just shows, you know, his form, tells the story, and again, the Sharks, it's good to see him on a run and playing full of confidence, but these two teams are playing with so much confidence at the moment. So it's a very even matchup. I can't wait to watch it. But obviously the Sharks playing for that top 4 finish, and the Knights trying to secure that around 5th or 6th position on the ladder. So it's going to be a good one.
All right, you've said it's going to be a good one 5 times. Who are you picking?
I'm going to pick the... I don't know. I really don't know. I'm going to pick the Knights just on the back of their great form at the moment. And I feel like the Sharks, travelling back-to-back weeks, might fatigue him a bit, so I'm going to go the Knights.
He's finally gotten off the fence on the last game. All right, thank you very much, Josh. Unmissable matchups taking place all weekend. Tickets for this game are selling fast, so if you want to see this match live, head straight to nrl.com/tickets. If you can't get to the game, though, you can watch it across Channel 9, Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kickoff is at 4:05 p.m.